What if we thought about our spiritual lives less like a courtroom and more like a doctor's office? Well, today we're going to unpack a Lenten reflection that does exactly that. It uses this simple but really powerful metaphor to completely reframe how we see our need for healing. It all boils down to this one simple question: who needs a doctor? I mean, the answer seems pretty obvious, right? It's the people who are sick. And that simple truth right there is the key to unlocking the entire message we're looking at today. It's an idea we're going to keep coming back to. All right, so before we can even begin to talk about a cure, we have to start with the diagnosis. This first part is all about recognizing that, hey, maybe there's a need for help in the first place. And here it is, that central metaphor. Jesus isn't shown as a judge, but as a physician, a healer for our souls. Now that is a huge shift in perspective. It means our faults aren't so much crimes that need punishment, but more like sicknesses that need a cure. And that changes, well, everything. Now, just to be clear, when we say sickness here, we're obviously not talking about a physical cold or flu. We're talking about what this reflection calls spiritual sickness. It's really just that honest admission that, you know what, we're not perfect. We need some guidance, some mercy, and some healing. And just recognizing that, that's the very first step to getting well. So let's see how this whole doctor metaphor plays out in a real-life example from the Gospel of Luke. This is where the physician makes a pretty unexpected house call that, let's just say, causes quite a stir. The whole story really centers on this one guy, Levi. And his job title? Well, that pretty much tells you everything you need to know about how society saw him. Yeah, it's so important to get this context. Tax collectors worked for the Roman occupiers, and frankly, they were known for being corrupt. So to the religious folks of the day, they weren't just disliked. They were seen as traitors, as ritually unclean, literally the textbook definition of a public sinner. And then Jesus just walks right up to Levi, who's sitting there at his tax booth, and says two simple words: follow me. That's it. No lecture, no long list of things he needs to fix first, just a direct, simple invitation. You can imagine, for everyone watching, this was absolutely shocking. And this is Jesus' own explanation for why he did it. When the religious leaders start criticizing him for eating with Levi and his friends, this is his answer. He's basically saying, look, I'm a doctor. I go where the sick people are. And this really just lays out the two groups in the story perfectly. On one side, you have the self-righteous, the ones who are convinced they're perfectly healthy and have no need for a doctor. And on the other side, you've got people like Levi who know they're in need and, because of that, are wide open to the call for healing. But you know what? A diagnosis is never the end of the story. The physician's call isn't just about pointing out a problem, it's about offering a solution. And that promise of healing is made incredibly clear in the other readings for the day. See, this is where the whole picture really starts to come together. The story of Jesus and Levi isn't just some random event. It's actually the fulfillment of a promise that was made hundreds of years earlier in the book of Isaiah. And just listen to the beautiful language of this promise. It's for those who turn to God humbly. And it's not just about forgiveness. We're talking about total restoration, light breaking through the darkness, healing that springs up quickly, constant guidance, and a life that flourishes like a watered garden. I mean, wow, that's the cure that's being offered. So, you see, the crucial point is this. The invitation to follow Jesus isn't a summons to a courtroom. It's a prescription for healing. It's a hopeful call that comes with this powerful promise of being made whole again. Okay, so that's the story, and that's the promise. But what does all of this mean for us right now? How are we invited to respond to all this, especially during the season of Lent?
Well, this is really what Lent is for. It's a season that's set aside for us to be totally honest with ourselves, to stop pretending that we're perfectly well, and to finally, maybe, acknowledge our own need for that spiritual physician.
And our response? The reflection calls it a joyful conversion. I absolutely love that phrase. It's not about being miserable and beating ourselves up over our faults. No, it's about the joy and the hope that comes from turning away from the things that harm us and turning toward the one who can actually heal us. So the path to this healing can kind of be broken down into 4 simple steps. First, we have to recognize our need, just like a patient deciding to go to the doctor. Second, we hear that call, that follow me. Third, we act on it. We leave behind whatever is holding us back. And finally, we just accept and embrace the healing that's being offered. This short prayer from the reflection, it just sums it all up so perfectly. It's a cry for help, it's a statement of wanting to follow, and it's an expression of hope for healing. The entire journey is right there in just a few lines. So, What's the final takeaway? It's really this. The call isn't some exclusive thing. It's not for the people who think they're perfect because, well, they don't think they need it. The call is for anyone and everyone who has the humility to just say, yep, I'm sick. I need the doctor. Which leaves us with one final, very personal question. When Jesus called him, Levi literally got up and left his tax booth, the source of his money, his identity, and his sin. He left it all behind. So, as we think about this, the question for each of us is, what is the one thing you're being called to leave behind to follow that call to healing?